Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. You know, I do a couple of takes on the intro every morning just to make sure I get it right for everybody. So we got the crypto market here this morning, not doing too much, still trading in that sideways pattern. We got Bitcoin trading at 11,383, Ethereum 213 approximately, and XRP just shy of 30 cents, 0.299 cents. Guys, it's always a great time to buy XRP, but right now it's a steal of a deal. Under 30 cents, you know, I'm buying more right now. If you can get your cost average down to as low as you possibly can. I know I've done a video on this. It's been a while, right? Maybe since you bought XRP, maybe you have a little more saved up that you can afford to lock away for a longer-ish period of time. This is not financial advice. But the charts are suggesting that this is another great opportunity to buy. This is Bitcoin, by the way, on the hourly. And as I said earlier, not too much in the way of upward or downward momentum, just kind of sideways movement over the last couple of days. I saw this, though, from CCN. Buy Bitcoin on this dip, says Goldman Sachs analyst. So what do Goldman Sachs know about buying Bitcoin? Well, they know enough to tell you to buy on the dip. But guys, I will link the article in the description. I'm not going to read it for you because I'm going to kind of summarize what their views are, which is ultimately just buy on this dip. Okay, we saw the high of 14 and now we're buying back down here. I mean, I think it was preferable to buy on this dip. So not this dip here, but this dip indeed. So 9,500, I would have probably set my price target at. So somewhere around this zone here, or no, not that zone. It would have been maybe closer to 9,600. Okay, so because we dipped down, then we saw it dip a couple more times and then trading in this zone here. I know this went down to 88, or do we see? No, we saw 9,000, but it came down, okay, 96, 97. I could have seen somebody putting a buy order in. I mean, I didn't personally buy here, but it was a good time to buy Bitcoin after we saw this solid bull run, bull rally, upwards to 14,000, then of course inevitably we were going to see a drop, and just calculating, 30-40%, seeing where that falls into a zone. You could have also taken a look here, and we saw some resistance here, okay, at about the 10,006, 10,005, and guys, these are all zones, right? So from 10.2 to 11.2, you could have bought anywhere in here. Would have been a pretty good price, I think, to buy had we had just seen this and you wanted to really get into it. If you really wanted to risk it, if you really wanted to take your time, you'd see where the trend was going. Okay, if you bought in this zone, you may have bought here. You would have seen it go up, go down, go up, and then you would have thought, great, we're moving higher. But then sure enough, we did see a decline. A lot of this has to do with human psychology. A lot of it has to do with previous charts, previous trends. We know these corrections can last up to 2 months. If you're really anxious, maybe you get here. If you're not so anxious, maybe you'd wait for a lower correction. So at the top of this zone here, okay, which was around the 9,500 mark. That's what I was going to say. This one's at the 9,500 mark, in which case it did dip there 1, 2, and 3 before moving up again. But Goldman Sachs is suggesting this, and any retracement from 12,009 to 13,009, it should be viewed as an opportunity to buy on weakness as long as it doesn't retrace. These are a couple of interesting tweets, pretty funny, from Suzu. What is more surprising, that Goldman Sachs has a bullish target on BTC, that they have any target at all, or that they use Elliott wave theory, which is a trading theory. I'm personally most surprised they can't be bothered to use a chart that includes weekend price action. Damn suits. Working from 9:30 to 4 Monday to Friday only. Yeah, that's one thing that these guys have got to keep in mind, is that Bitcoin does run 24/7, 365 days a year. Down here we have Josh Rager talking about the Bitcoin price action. 3 things are certain in life: death, taxes, and buying. The 30% pullback on Bitcoin will provide a solid ROI. Essentially, that's what I was telling friends at a party back in July when we saw Bitcoin decline, then go back up. We were on a solid decline, then we were seeing some climbing back up. I said, look, anything under 10,000 at this point is a good buy. We had gone back up. I don't know if they actually had bought because they could have bought down here under 10,000, 9,400, and then we did see an increase. But even back here, I was saying anything under 10,000 at this point is a solid buy if you do want to get into it. I cost averaged down my Bitcoin position back last winter in late 2018, early 2019. I'm happy with the price I bought at. I saw this in the news regarding Ether, but more importantly, altcoins, because a lot of us hold altcoins. This article has to do with Ethereum particularly. Ether price will hit $1,000 again, survey says, as altcoin altcoin faith remains, and it's just a survey that was taken on Twitter. 54% say a $1,000 Ether price is quite possible, according to the survey administered by an altcoin trader's handbook. Nick Patel on August 10th, 54% of respondents think Ether BTC will go to 1,000 once again. So faith in the altcoin market. Now, that said, according to Patel's survey, however, most lay traders do not share that view. Out of more than 5,000 respondents, only 34% were willing to predict that the Ethereum BTC would never reach 4 digits. So we got a bit of a mixed bag here. Will Ethereum go back to 1,000 or not? Will XRP hit $1 again or not? The alt market has seen a rough time right now, but we tend to lose perspective because the alt market is just a product of, especially in a speculative market, is just a product of what Bitcoin is doing, guys. And I have to keep reminding you this is Bitcoin, right? And Bitcoin has seen increases for the last 2.5 years had seen increases for the last 2.5 years before the huge rally of 2017. But if you look at something like XRP, right, we saw a bit of an increase here, but ultimately, guys, a lot of these charts are pretty stagnant before the boom of 2017, and then it wasn't until the last 4 weeks that altcoins like XRP really shot up. Now, Ethereum's a bit different. It was following Bitcoin for a large majority of the last bull run, but if you look at something like XLM, or not XLM. Let's look at TRX. So TRX here, by December 2017, it's the same kind of thing. A lot of stagnation, and then by mid-December 2017, a pump up here, and then another boost right here. Okay, a lot of these altcoins were doing what they were doing right at the end of the Bitcoin FOMO run, and that's what we have to remember. So when we're seeing these kinds of surveys, who's taking these surveys? What do they know about the market? Do they realize that alts are really just going to be a product of Bitcoin? And so it's great to trade alts speculatively to make some money when Bitcoin is kind of at the end of its peak. The great thing, though, about XRP, which makes it stand out from the rest, is that it does have that real-world utility. You can make money on it in the spec run. But what really makes XRP a premium digital asset is the fact that it is going to be utilized in everyday life. This tweet from Jack the Rippler at Ripple XRPIE, linking to this Daily Hodl article talking about Ripple signing 100 new contracts this year, with 20% likely involving XRP. A lot of this, we know this was from Brad Garlinghouse's interview, talking about MoneyGram, using that as an advantage, or rather them pressing their advantage, using the MoneyGram partnership. I'm going to read you this quote here. Banks that 2 years ago told me, hey, we love your technology, we're thrilled to be working with you, but we're not going to use crypto. I said, okay, great. Some of those same banks are now coming back and saying, hey, let's talk about that because they see the value now. According to Garlinghouse, Ripple will sign around 100 new contracts this year, with around 20% involving XRapid and XRP. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but do you remember that podcast where, I forget who was talking about what, but essentially whoever was talking was suggesting that many of these companies were really interested in cryptocurrency. Everybody was ready and, salivating, really wanting to dig their teeth into cryptocurrency, but nobody was willing to be the first. Everybody was lined up to be the second to do the crypto thing. And I think MoneyGram here has now stepped up. They are the first, and a lot of these banks and financial institutions, money movers, they're all going to fall into line very, very soon. I think the writing's on the wall, and there are a lot of people already realizing this. And we got Saul Goodman Esquire here on Twitter. For those of you in doubt about XRP usage, always just go back to what the experts say. Grand Agent, at agent_grand on Twitter. I will never sell my XRP asset. I am old and mature enough to wait for something big. And this goes to the point that I was talking about yesterday with people being too immature and too anxious to get rich. It's like, if it doesn't happen in 2019, I'm giving up. What kind of attitude is that? Like, I mean, seriously, you can't wait a few years? Give it some time to percolate, you morons. Anyway, so Grand Agent posted that, but then Saul Goodman Esquire at Saul2Goodman ESQ dropped this here, and it's a screen grab from a XRP chat forum, and this was from Bob Way's thing when he was responding to questions. Clearly, XRP isn't there yet. XRP is a want to use situation right now. As the RippleNet ecosystem builds, more and more people will need to use XRP, and that immediacy absolutely does increase demand. Guys, we're not there yet. We are building. Brad Garlinghouse is building, signing 100 new contracts this year. 20% are going to be using XRapid and XRP, and only 20%, in my opinion, because The regulations aren't clear enough. We've heard this recently. In the Michelle Bond interview, for example, we need that clarity. We need those clear regulations in order for the entire world to jump on board and get this party started. I think MoneyGram is a great example of one of those companies that is willing to take the leap of faith, partner with Ripple, essentially to rival their competitor Western Union. I really hope MoneyGram takes #1 spot sooner rather than later once they're at full scale with XRP, because if they can prove that they can take over the #1 remittance service in the world, they will be that first company that nobody wants to be, but everybody wants to follow. Anyways, that's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.